Good. We're live.
All right. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. I am Gunnar Eos, and we are in another episode of the Logical Gamers podcast. I am here with the usual suspects, Blanka Kong, Mr. Esoteric, Mr. Hado Wolf, and today's subject is going to be a New Year's themed one. So, as some of us know, or the year's wrapping up. 2021 is coming to an end. 2022 it's on its way in. And since we're a predominantly gaming and pop culture type channel, we decided, hey, well, in lieu of the spirit, we're gonna do a sort of New Year's resolution relating to games. It could be about games, gaming industry, or it could be about personal resolutions. Why the hell not, right? It's gonna be a new year, hopefully new you, as the saying goes. So started off with I'm gonna keep mine related to gaming. Um, Pretty much I want my as a resolution for the gaming industry, I would like games to kind of just be games again. I know that's a pretty vague statement, but
Hmm.
we've seen a ton of AAA live service, as the industry likes to call it, games come out over the past year. Some of the more notable ones, Marvel's Avengers, Godfall, and things of that ilk. Games that on their own could be pretty good games. I see Marvel's Avengers. I think it could have been a good game if it wasn't a live service. If it wasn't MMO like, where you pick a character, you level them out, you start gearing up the character, yada yada yada. There's a roadmap, typical live service junk. I think if it was just a game, just an Avengers game, I just an Avengers game, I think if it was just an Avengers game, I think it would have been fine on its own. But because it's a live service, you have characters that come out periodically, characters that are locked behind systems. As we all know, Spider Man is coming out. Not everybody can play Spider Man. That's unfortunate. So, pretty much as a resolution, I just want games to go back to games. You pay a flat fee, you get a game, has a beginning, has an end, and whether the game's good or bad depends on the game itself and your judgment of it. So hopefully, with live service games not doing as well as these major AAA developers would like them to, maybe they start hitting, it starts getting into their head, and they start realizing, hey, maybe we should just make a game again. Crazy concept, I know. So that's one of my resolutions. I'm really hoping it comes true. I guess we'll find out. So I'm gonna pass it over to Mr. Hado Wolf.
So a New Year's resolution that I would like to see, which is also, I guess, wishful thinking, kind of aligns with your aspect of looking for, video games being video games again. And it's
Right.
specifically removing auto combos out of fighting games. I know that King of Fighters is set to release next year, and I'm super stoked for it. I'm super hyped for it. However, I'm not a fan of the mashing of light near the opponent and then an auto combo happens. Um, there are characters, or my play style sometimes is to use my light attacks to either mess an opponent up or to start a combo, which unfortunately in the last King of Fighters I could not do because pushing light button 3 times started an auto combo, um, which I had to forcefully change my style of play um, to fit that modification, so that that modification that was changed so that people who can't play fighting games can play fighting games. Um, so I would love to see fighting games going back to their roots, where you definitely have to go into the lab, take some time, practice real combos, not timing of your auto combos. Like seriously. Um, Maybe wishful thinking, maybe me being wrong in the situation. However, as a fighting game fanatic, as someone who miss playing fighting games, um, I'm hoping that there's a fighting game out there that does not cater to that comes out next year. That's just it for me. So I'll move it on to Esoteric.
Okay, cool. Um, for me, one of the resolutions I would like to see for the new year would be less ports for new gen consoles. I'm really tired of seeing ports. As you guys already know, I own a PS5 and there are not much exclusive games for the PS5. Um, I I own a PS5 and there are several ports for it currently. There's Devil May Cry 5, there's Hades, there's Ghost of Tsushima, and it just doesn't make any sense to me because they're direct ports from the PS4 to the PS5. So I'm a little annoyed about that. Um, Also,
But they
if I'm
load
purchasing,
faster.
I don't care. I really don't care about that, honestly, because I'm paying extra money for a direct port. It's not like PS2 to PS5. It's more like it's PS4 to PS5, and it's like
When the
seriously.
when the five's already backwards compatible, which is funny.
That was my next point. That was my next point. It's backwards freaking compatible. I can understand the ones that bought the digital version, but that's your fault. That's not my problem, to
Yeah.
be honest. Um, yeah, it's already backwards compatible. So from a financial perspective, when you got companies like GameStop who love to sell used games, I'm definitely gonna go for the used PS4 game over the brand new PS5 game. I don't care about the resolution. I don't care about, you know, the little nuances that they added to make it seem like it's a refresher of a game. I don't care about any of that. What I just want to do is play new games for a new system. Like I purchased Demon Souls because one, it was on the PS3, which was two consoles away, and two, um I never played it before, so it made sense. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, that's one of my resolutions. I really hope that they change it, especially considering that the system is backwards compatible. I really hope that they come up with new games. So far, they're doing Horizon Zero Dawn, and I can't really think of anything else past that right now. So yeah, that's my first one. And tossing it over to you, Kong.
Cool. So before I get into mine, none of that shit's gonna happen.
I
For
know,
none of that shit's gonna happen.
I know.
That's
It's
for damn sure. Like auto combos are here to stay, unfortunately. Um,
Jesus Christ.
Freaking exclusives to the PS5. I mean, it's gonna happen eventually, but the games are just more expensive to make now, and require just more time to craft to be able to, hit the quality, the level of quality that you expect. Um, so I mean, you'll get your exclusives eventually. You also have God of War Ragnarok, by the way. That's like the other
oh,
PS5, big PS5 game. But again, that's gonna be available on PS4 too. So
exactly. So it doesn't make any sense. It's
Shout
like
out to the last generation
it's
plebes.
listen,
it's like
it's gonna do. Listen, it's gonna play better on PS5, way better.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah,
it's
but
not
that's
like
not
you're.
the point.
I get, I get it, but from a business standpoint, it would behoove Sony to release it on both consoles because they are gonna sell way more copies that way, right? Because they don't have the supply of PS5s to meet the potential demand that they would want. Like they have sales goals. Like, if they can't sell or if they can't produce enough PS5s, well, there's X amount of people who have PS4s, and we want them to buy God of War Ragnarok. So Santa Monica Studios, you better figure out a way to get this shit to work on PS4.
no,
Like,
that makes perfect sense and complete understandable. I don't want to go off on a tangent. However, when you have games like Devil May Cry 5, which came out on the PS4, and then you make it again for the PS5, it's like
Would you?
seriously.
Okay, I can I interject? Maybe would you say that? Okay, maybe I'm stretching it. Would you say that maybe it's a way of negating scalpers as well? Because think about it. A person in their right mind isn't going to buy a PS5 if they can play the games on their PS4. So it kind of devalues the need of buying a PS5, right?
Mhm.
So I guess Sony is saying, well, if we put God of War on PS5 and PS4, not only will the PS4 players be happy because they've had the console for so long, but then people can slowly move into the PS5 instead of just trying to replace the console in a month of its release.
Mhm.
Therefore, those who do have PS5s and want to sell it for $800, $900, $1,300, like Walmart is selling it on their website. Yeah, I called them out. It will negate some of that, because then the demand for the PS5 wouldn't be as strong, because it's like, well, I can still get my God of War experience on my PS4. Like, do you guys agree that maybe it's also
Um,
helping in that way by
I,
having games on both consoles?
I really think that this console generation, because of worldwide circumstances that are affecting not only the gaming industry but basically anything that uses an electronic chip, the transition from PlayStation 4 to 5 is going to be in my opinion, I think it's going to be the slowest console transition of any console transition. That goes for Xbox as well, Microsoft as well, because it's not the fact that this console is just selling off the shelves and Sony can't produce as, consoles to keep up with demand. It's because of these shortages. They physically cannot give the people what they want. So to make it PlayStation 5 exclusive now, you're just alienating still a huge percentage of your player base that just can't get a 5 but has a 4. So, not to rain doom and gloom on Esoteric, but I think it's going to still be a little bit ways away before you're going to get your PS5 only games.
No, I get that, but one point before I move it back over to Kong, because we are going off on a tangent here. This has been a constant pattern. The PS3 had some scarcity with it. The Nintendo Wii had some scarcity with it. Um, and yet they were still able to like produce exclusive games for that console. Like anybody that had PS2 or whatever was, I believe the Nintendo GameCube, yeah, they were pretty much shit out of luck. Like, the new games for those systems, that was it. There was no, they had some like Twilight Princess, but for the most part they had more exclusive games than like repeats or games that were distributed across the board. So, I mean, I understand the whole pandemic situation, but hopefully, I'm just hoping. I don't think they're ever going to stop it because it is a lucrative business for them. However, if they can just lessen it a bit, that's all I'm asking.
Mm.
So that's
Wow.
not going to happen anytime soon. Like I said
Yeah,
before,
yeah, not
Yeah,
anytime
I
soon.
can't with this guy.
because of the reasons that you guys pointed out. It just, from a business standpoint, it makes sense for them to make sure that these games are playable on both machines. From a consumer standpoint, and from a fairness standpoint, it just makes more sense to not alienate their community of consumers from the PS4 that they've developed over the past like decade, to like, okay, well, you're shit out of luck if you don't have a PS5. Sorry. Like, it's just a bad look, right? You're speaking from a perspective of, I have a PS5, I want it because I have it. Like, it's a very like privileged like position to be in, right? So for you, it's like, well, that's not fair. I gave you my $500 and I was an early adopter for the PS5. And it's like, okay, well, that's cool, but unfortunately for you, it doesn't come with that many benefits. And I would rather that exist than the PS5 be like this super machine, like back in the day where the N64 or the PlayStation or the Dreamcast were like these incredible machines with these incredible like pieces of software that weren't available to anybody else. That sucked. So luckily we live in a day and age where things are a little more fair and a little more available. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It sucks for those who are able to buy it and have it, but it is what it is. You're not going to get your like huge library of exclusive PS5 titles anytime soon. Like that's just a pill you're going to have to swallow. Fighting games and auto combos, that's not going anywhere. That's only going to get worse, if anything. And then games being games again, pick up a PS2 and start playing those, because that's not happening either. I don't think.
Jeez.
Hey, call me the Grinch. That's why I have the green, right?
Well, what is your
You
reasonable
you are he's just the bearer of bad news. He's just
Well,
like, yeah, here's
listen.
my plane of hopes, and there's Blanka Kong with the rocket launcher to shoot it down.
Well,
Like,
let's hear
listen,
his reasonable
yeah, heard my Christmas stories. They're not all happy-go-lucky stories, man.
jeez.
So anyway, all I want, very reasonable, give games a little more time in the development cycle, which is unlikely as well, but I think that's a little more within reason or within a reachable reality of give the games an extra 3 months or 6 months of development time to make sure the games aren't glitchy, aren't, I'm okay with
I
day
think
one
that's
patches,
I like that
but
though. I do like that.
just leave it a little more time in the stove. I get you're hungry now, but the turkey is gonna taste better if we cook it all the way. I think that's only fair. So that's my resolution for the gaming industry is just to give games a little more time to breathe and to marinate and to, we're playing Pokemon right now, right? There's a ton of glitches in that game, some good, some bad. It really shouldn't really exist. Like it just shouldn't exist in the degree in which it does. I think that's a big problem, and I think that's happening not just with Nintendo games, but with all games across the board. And it's a fucking shame because these games
100%.
are making these companies are making millions of dollars, especially those who have some of the more lucrative business practices like mobile gaming and gacha games and all this. They're quick to fucking report their quarterly earnings, but when it comes to us complaining about certain glitches on Reddit or whatever, there's some dickhead in their PR department quick to go, well, it sounds like you got 150 hours of gameplay out of it, or saying some snappy shit like that. I don't appreciate that shit. So make sure your fucking games are as good as possible, and to the publishers, give your developers more time to make their games as good as they can be. That's it. That's my resolution for the resolution expectation for the industry. I think that's fair. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that. Unfortunately, I think that's harder to get done because at least with the big boys,
because money.
Yeah, the AAA ones have realized that they can get away with, hey, we're just going to release a half-finished game. The idiots will buy it, and then we'll just patch it up to what it's supposed to be. Because they seem to be fine with it. So why are we just going to finish it now? It's like your oven example. Cyberpunk, Pokemon, apparently, other games that have come out recently. Your example of the oven, they cooked the turkey. It's still not fully cooked, but they said just put it in the microwave. It'll finish heating it up. So,
turkey with some band-aids on it. Nah, that's not good. That's not good.
Yeah,
it's not good enough for me. But anyway, Gunnar, you were already in the middle of a thought. Take it away. For your next one.
Mine's we're gonna jump between the two. Mine's a personal one. In relation to games, I want to make it a resolution to actually finish or complete the games that I play. I have a bad habit. Yeah, I have a bad habit of getting through a game, getting up until like the final fight or the final chapter, the final whatever, and I stop playing it. And it's not because I dislike the game. If you look at some of my game times, I have 30, 40, 50 hours in a certain game, but I haven't seen the ending. It's just I have a bad habit of I don't like beating games because when I beat a game, that's me acknowledging that I'm finished with the game. And I never want to be there are certain games that I don't want to end. So if I never end it, it never technically ends. It's usually with RPGs that I do that a lot with. I almost did it with Shin Megami Tensei 5. I actually had to kind of like push myself to beat the game. It wasn't even so much the story is good, but it wasn't even that for me. It's just like, okay, cool, I got these demons. Let's work on a fresh batch of demons. I got these demons done. Let's work on I was just making
prolonging your game.
I was making end game demons when I can just beat the final boss 10 times over. And when I actually did fight the final boss, it lasted like 3 turns. I beat him in 3 turns. So
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like my demons were just so over leveled and specced in their specific roles to the max that the final boss was just like, I'm gonna do this, and I'm like, I don't care. 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. Goodbye. Oh, credits. So that's a bad habit I have for that reason. I don't like seeing games end. So for this coming year, I'm going to try to go back to some of these games that I'm literally sitting at end chapter, final mission, and finish it. So I can finish these games and say I have completed them. So yeah, that's a personal resolution in the gaming sphere for me. So what you got for us, Wolf?
Actually, mine is almost similar to yours, with the exception of I actually have to start the game.
Ah, okay.
Like, I have games that I bought and never started. So, or games that I've started and only did but so much in it that I have to restart and then finish. Which,
Yeah, I've done
right,
that sometimes too. Yeah.
so yeah, so instead of buying new game that comes out, which again, my resolution wouldn't even start until after Pokemon RCS, which again is going to take time. You see, like every time I want to do something, it something comes out and it's like I have to prioritize this. So I guess my New Year's resolution would be in playing the video games would be to actually start and finish the video games that I buy. I have maybe like 3 or 4 of them that I've started, never finished, or never started to even finish. I've even downloaded games on the Switch that I never booted up. I bought Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2 when it was on sale, and I never booted it up. Never. I downloaded it and everything. It's on my console. I I never booted it up. I did it for Okami. I never booted it up. Um, maybe I should start doing that. I'm always buying games when I catch them on sales, and a resolution is that I cut back on that and actually play the games that I do buy.
Okay.
Yeah, your
And
turn. So
that makes sense. To your point, Wolf, it's so funny. Because the last podcast we was talking about, you know, getting gifts for Christmas, and as kids, we had all the time in the world to like finish these games, and didn't have any money, which kind of further gave us incentive to finish the games and play them like 100 times over.
hmm
Back then. So now that we're all full grown adults, we're able to buy all the shit we want at times, and to the point where we can't even, you know, play or even finish the games that we have. So that's definitely really interesting. Um, but yeah, moving on, another New Year's resolution, which Kong might shut down. um, I I would say I would like for Nintendo actually to expand their horizons and kind of like,
Oh God, this guy.
yeah. That's why I said what I said. I already set the disclaimer. Okay, these are just resolutions. I know they're not gonna happen.
Let a man dream.
You can only control what you yourself can do, not what other people can do. But in the for the sake of the podcast, one can dream and continue dreaming. Just saying.
Catch them Z's,
um.
brothers. Go ahead.
Anywho, so not trying to get on Nintendo or whatever, because I love the company. I grew up playing their games and whatnot. Um, and I got to give it to them. They're extremely innovative. However, I feel that they need to bring their systems up to modern speed. They gave us Bluetooth. I congratulations to that. So we can listen with our wireless headsets to whatever game we're playing. So kudos to them. Um, but there are certain things that they need to like improve on, like the whole friend code thing. I'm not too fond of that. I feel like they should get on the bandwagon, so to speak, and implement actual usernames and stuff like that. They also need to incorporate a chat outside of a mobile device app. It needs to be internalized within the system. So it's just a couple of things as well. And one of the biggest things that I would have to say is that they need to have all their games save on the cloud. Like I love that they implemented the cloud, that we can save data on there and whatnot. However, pivotal games, very important games such as Pokemon cannot be saved on that. So I'm a little bummed out about it because the game is not saved to the cartridge anymore, it's saved to the system. So I'm a little, apprehensive about taking out because God forbid, what if I lose it or whatever? What if something happens to it? Um, you could buy memory cards, but that's even more money as an alternative. But if they allowed the cloud to pretty much let you save all your games, I'd be happy with that. So that's just my next one. I know that probably will never happen. But again, a man can dream.
Want them to add fucking folders
I'm
to the
gonna,
menu.
yeah, I'm gonna
Huh?
back that one up. Fuck, dude. I'm gonna back that one up. I really do feel like that company is lagging. Like I was telling Gunnar earlier, like we was talking about earlier, was it's a very it's they're following a lot of Stone Age tactics with their stuff, and it's like, yeah, I appreciate that we can use Bluetooth with the Switch, and the Switch is portable, and they are giving us good games. That's what they are giving us. I'm not gonna doubt that, but there is just some quality of life things that they should. It's like an expectation, right? Um, so when you're in a competitive industry, there's an expectation. You don't just, if you want to open a bank, you're not going to open a bank and not have credit card and personal loan products. You're not going to be able to compete with the banks that are already around or that is competing with them with other banks. You're just not going to, it's not going to work for you. And I mean, Nintendo is doing their thing, but I just feel like their consoles need to be more on par. You don't need to make an imitation of a PS5 or an Xbox whatever number or geo, geo geometric terminology they're choosing to use this time around. Um, yeah, you don't have to be 100% imitation of them, but there are things that they do apply to gamers that gamers can appreciate that Nintendo just isn't following. One thing is like achievements. Like I would go back and play Metroid again, or if Metroid had achievements on it, I would be more inclined to wanting to play the game more. But really, it's a start to finish kind of game. You start it, you beat it, you put it down. There's nothing extra to do in it. There's no reason to go back and play Metroid Dread. As beautiful as the game is, it's a friggin' masterpiece. To be honest, I got my experience in one shot. Like there's nothing else for me to do. So if the game had achievements or like a trophy system, I would be more inclined to pick it up again and play it to say I did this in the game. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I don't make much sense, but that's just me. That's how I feel.
Hmm. Nah,
No,
So
I get that.
I agree. I mean, how long ago was it that Nintendo didn't have an account system? So if you bought a game on
exactly,
a 3DS and you wanted to get another one, that game was stuck on your old 3DS and you had to re-buy that game.
Yeah.
exactly.
It wasn't that long that you couldn't transfer. You had no account to like carry over your purchased games.
Yeah.
So those are just one of those things that I feel like Nintendo needs to pick up on. And there's so many years late on it that at this point I'm gonna go with the glass is half empty approach and say they're just not gonna do it. They're just not. But I digress. Sorry to throw it off like that.
Nah,
It's
that's
cool,
the
man.
point.
This is
Yeah.
it's an open
Mhm.
conversation. So Nintendo, unfortunately, I don't think is going to change on the flip of a dime. They'll only do it if they get hurt financially. The Wii U is the prime example of that. If they have another
Mhm.
bluster like that, then they'll reevaluate certain things and then adjust accordingly. But with the money that they're making now and the positive reception that they're getting from a very wide audience of people, they have no reason to change their ways. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. that's kind of how they operate, and they beat to the they follow the beat to their own drum, or however that saying goes,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, good luck expecting that. Um, for me, like personally, I'm gonna try and stream more because I find that I also have the issue of starting a game and then not finishing it. But
Okay.
when I stream, I feel an obligation to finishing the game.
Yeah, I agree. Same with
So
me.
it's like if I stream the game, then and then there are people watching, you know, maybe they're not expecting a finish, maybe they don't really care, um, and that's fine. But I kind of care that like I didn't finish the game, even though I publicly like started it. So I'm gonna publicly finish it. Like I have to have an end chapter to this story. So for me, it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna try and stream more often this upcoming year, and I'm gonna try and develop a more static schedule so that I can make that happen. Um, in order to finish games more frequently. So it's a resolution within a resolution, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a personal one for me. Um, because I do enjoy streaming. It's just you know, sometimes it's just like for now, right? I plan to stream. You know, this recording session isn't is not the same day as this episode is published, but I plan to stream tomorrow. Like I told myself, okay, I'm gonna stream on this day, right? And then my light doesn't work, right? So it's like shit. Okay, I can still stream, but it's like my face won't be visible. So it's like, damn, you know. So like that's an excuse that like stops me from like streaming right away. So it's like
Right.
I bought a light, it's on its way or whatever. But like you know what I mean? Like I have to make sure that I'm streaming more often in order to finish my games. Because otherwise I'll start a game for a day and then it's like okay, and then I'll get distracted with something. I'll start playing Pokemon or I'll start playing Monster Hunter. Because I'm the gamer that like I can't flip between games. I cannot do it. I've tried. It does not work. I have to play one game at a time. I don't know how people
Mm.
do it. I don't know how people do it. Like, oh, today I'm gonna play this, tomorrow I'm gonna play that. I no. The moment I start playing something else and that game grabs me enough, I'm playing that game. Like it doesn't matter how good the other game was. I'm in this room now. It's like I can't be in two rooms at once. So I have
I
to pick
get
a
that.
room. I have to pick a room.
I completely understand that because I am a little like worried about Neo because that game is not an easy to pick up and play type game, and I've been
You've been
out of it
away
for
for
maybe over a month, like a little over a month, right?
no.
Or probably less than.
It's been like three. It's been like a month.
Yeah.
It's been like
So
almost exactly a month.
Yeah.
yeah, it feels longer. So I'm like a little like
Yeah.
when I do pick it up, it's like shit. I gotta remember all the stuff that I've done. I gotta remember how to play the
It's like
mechanics,
what
things
Wolf
of that
said earlier,
nature.
where it's like it's a game where you like feel like you have to start over to even play again,
Yeah, yeah.
which is
Yeah.
like the
Because
worst kind of game to like not finish.
Yeah, that's
yep.
true. I mean, I've always been good at like getting back on track, but it's like,
Hmm.
this game has a lot of components to it. And also to your point about like streaming and whatnot, it definitely did take me a while to like build up that, ritual to keep streaming and things of that nature. Cause it can be very rigorous at times, sitting there in one spot for like 3, 4, 5 hours,
Hmm.
I don't even know how some streamers manage to do 12-hour, 24-hour streams. Like
Or yeah.
they're
That shit
they're
is
insane
crazy.
with that. Like I can't I love games. I'm really passionate about games, but me with my, offline work, sitting in front of a computer all day, I really, it's really hard for me to sit in front of a TV all day at times. So I'm really happy that I'm able to do it because, I set a schedule for myself and I have goals that I want to achieve
Hmm.
and, cool people that I'm, conversing with during these times where you can't really interact with people in person or whatever. Um, but yeah, it definitely helps to to build that ritual, and then I'm pretty sure you'll be able to do it over time.
Yeah, yeah. It just again, it's just A, setting the expectation, and then B, executing it.
Yeah,
That's really what it boils down to. So I have to put
It's
myself
like
in there.
most things, like getting into a workout schedule, changing an eating routine, doing such. You just have to keep at it and
Hmm.
fight the urge to not do it because it's really easy for laziness to take over and just go, it's late. I don't want to stream today. I'll do it. I'll do it Friday. And then Friday comes, like, I'm tired. I'll do it next Friday. So
Hmm.
it's you have to kind
yeah,
of fight that and go, no, we're gonna do this today. And even if I only stream for 3 hours, I stream today, and then we're gonna try it again next whatever day.
that is so true. And also to Gunna's point, like after a while, like being in the constant ritual and a constant routine, it's kind of embedded in me. Like if I don't stream, I feel a certain type of way. If I don't go to the gym, I feel a certain type of way. Like it's like a must. It's like it's fulfillment now. Before it became a chore, but now it's like fulfilling. Like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm anticipating for the day.
Yeah,
At least for
humans
me.
are habitual creatures. So you form a habit, you're gonna tend to stick with it.
I wanted you to
Indeed.
say bitch ass creatures, but it's okay. All right,
All right,
Gunnar, do you
so
have one?
yeah, yeah, I do. Another personal gaming related resolution I'd like to get on in the coming year is to kind of have more natural experiences when playing a new game for the first time. What I mean by that
Mm.
is, as everybody, you guys know, and people that view our podcast know, I mostly play RPGs. RPGs are very like mathematically focused. They're like, okay, this does X, Y, Z, blah blah blah. I have a real bad habit that I don't like wasting my time. I know, fun. I'm playing a video game. Wasting my time and wasting my resources in the game to do something that is ultimately fruitless. So, I guess since most of us are you, at least of the three here, are avid Pokemon players. It's like investing, if you want to be competitive, investing time into a Pokemon that's just not worth it. That no matter what you do, what you put into it, how much time you spend with it, it's just not competitively viable. That's how
Makes
I kind of
sense.
feel. Yeah, that's how I feel with RPGs. I don't want to invest my time in doing a certain build if at the end it's just not going to be fruitful.
Or
So
playing a certain character that dies mid-story and you
right,
don't know shit about it.
right, and I invested this time in this character. So I have a bad habit of looking up things while I'm playing a brand new game, looking up things on forums and communities to see, hey, I'm thinking about making this. Is it worth my time? And that kind of, that's prime real estate for spoiler territory. You can read about, oh yeah, when I fought the final boss, Mr. Blah blah blah. And it's like, oh, all right, well, now I know who the final boss is. Um, so I kind of want to have a more natural experience when it comes to new games, not looking up guides, not looking up, hey, is this move worth my time? Kind of just playing the game, and if I, end up with a shitty build, whatever, that's what a new game is for. So in like current game time, Elden Ring is on its way, unless it gets pushed back again. We'll see. But with the Souls games, I did the same thing. I was like, are magic builds viable in Souls games? What spells do I need to look out for? Where do I find the magic based rings? Yada yada. While Dark Souls 3 is ongoing, like no one knows what the final boss is yet, but my ass is on a forum looking up, is this sorcerer's ring worth it, or do I find a better one down the line? So, with Elden Ring coming out, I kind of just want to play that natural. Like, I'm not going to look up anything. Like, if I end up, having a misplaced intelligence stat, I'm going to let it ride. If I end up missing a ring that would have been really good for a magic build, I'm going to get over it. And I'm just going to play the game, start to finish, fight the bosses naturally with no knowledge of them. And then once I finish it, I can look up now. I can look up like, hey, how do you make the most optimal mage guide in Elden Ring, if such a thing exists? So yeah, that's a resolution that I have going into 2022 to just kind of play these games, just play them naturally without resorting to, communities around the game to, kind of like guide me, not necessarily guide me, kind of like, hey, you know what, this thing is not worth your time. If it's not worth my time, whatever. I'll start a new game and I'll make the optimal build.
So can I ask
Oh
you a question
man,
before anybody else goes? What
Hey,
changed your tune on that? Because that's
oh,
unlike you.
I was gonna say that. I was like, ooh, I can't wait to see him do that. If he can do like reaction videos of him messing up something and just how finicky he's going to be about it.
Hmm.
right, yeah, make for good content. But to answer your question, it's because of that. Like, Um, the prime example, or a recent example, is SMT5. I recently played and beat that, and while SMT5 was going on, I would look up. For example, I made my main character a magic-based, physical-based build, so he was very unga bunga, maxed out strength, physical-based attacks. And while the game was brand new, like the first or second week of the game, I was on like GameFAQs and Reddit and the more well-known message boards looking up like, hey, is this good for a strength build? What should I be looking out for strength builds? What's the cap on strength? Is there such a thing? Like, I was looking up all these minute details, and barely anybody knew the game. Like, the game's like a week old, and I'm looking stuff. I'm spending more time reading about the game on the forum than I'm actually physically playing the game. I would literally leave the game running and spend an hour reading up on the forums, and then I like look over to my second monitor and go, "Oh shit, that's right. I'm supposed to be playing this thing." Um, so like it kind of hit me, and it's like, you know what, like I should just be playing this. Like, I remember when I would just play the game, and if I fucked up or I did something that wasn't good, I took a fire spell when I should have took a blizzard spell. Oh well, I'll just do it on the next playthrough. So, you know, and like I said, it also leads to prime spoiler territory because you can't control what someone's going to type on a message board. So, with like these upcoming games, I kind of just want to go back to that time when I wasn't so like worried about wasting video game resources in a video game. Just play the game. And if I fuck up, I can come back to it later. That's what a new game is for.
Okay, I understand. So you want that pure enjoyment, just that, you know, pick up game, play through game, whatever you don't understand, you just learn the next run type of experience.
Yeah, yeah, like especially again, since my main genre is RPGs, it's really easy to get lost in like theory crafting forums and looking at fucking Google spreadsheets of, you know, pick this spell because it does zero point 0.5 more damage than this spell. Like, I do that. I spend my free time doing that, looking at fucking Google spreadsheets on the entire spell list in a single player video game just so I make the best build. And it's gotten to the point where I'm doing that more than playing the game. So we're gonna try to like curb that a little bit with upcoming games like Elden Ring, where I'm just gonna I'm a pick a mage class and I'm gonna play. If I miss, Soul Arrow of Mass Destruction Nuclear Bomb because I didn't fucking talk to this NPC in time, I'll live. I'll let it ride. New Game Plus is a thing. So yeah, just trying to change that bad habit when it comes to me and RPGs. It's kind of, you know, gone out of hand, so to speak. So
Interesting.
yeah, yeah, that's a big one actually. I probably should have let off that, but that's a big one. Anyway, Wolf, do you got another one for us? Very good, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, you might be AFK. So,
Yeah.
all right, Esoteric.
Okay, so yes, I'll definitely go. One of my resolutions that I can definitely control that I don't think will be shunned is dabble in, oh, I think he got disconnected.
I'd imagine so. Oh,
Okay, he's back. He's back. Wolf, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's your turn, or do you want me to go?
I was talking. I didn't know that you guys couldn't hear me.
oh
Oh
no,
no,
we
we
didn't
couldn't hear
hear you
you.
for that whole thing.
All
Wow.
right, so go ahead. Go ahead.
I was saying was my resolution is with video games, but it's still on a more personal level. And it's actually playing more video games with my little one. Um, so we do a lot of academic things together, like we'll read before he goes to bed. I obviously help him with his homework and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that we do together as is, but he's always asking me, can you play video games with me? Like he has a Sega Genesis Mini, so he always wants me to play those games with him, multiplayer. He just got a Nintendo Switch. He asked me if I can buy video games that me and him can play together. Um, and to be honest, I haven't been very active in that aspect. Um, so I guess my New Year's resolution would be, picking up some multiplayer games that we both can play together and spend that time with them on it. It's okay. Like obviously I focus more on him being more academic and using his head, but at the same time I feel like every child should have some kind of downtime, and having downtime for him during the winter time where you can't go out to the park and play, you can't go outside and enjoy the sun too much. Playing video games with him will also keep his mind going, because you do have to think to play video games. You do have to problem solve to play video games. So I feel like and then he just wants that quality time with his father. So I definitely, that is definitely a New Year's resolution for me. Definitely picking up, multiplayer games where both him and I can sit and play. It doesn't matter if we win. It doesn't matter if we lose. I think he's looking more for the experience.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah, just for
Yeah.
you two to play something together.
Yeah. So
Well,
that's definitely something I'm going to
that's
be.
a really good resolution.
Mhm.
I'll
Yeah.
say that's not going to happen because no, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Well, Wolf, you do have that Animal Crossing, so
Yes, he actually likes it too. He was able to read the cover the moment he opened the packet.
very
Um,
nice.
he
Very
did
nice.
send his regards. He did say thank you. And he's been playing games and stuff like that. But I think he's definitely more focused on wanting to play games with me instead. Like every single day he comes to me, Dad, are you going to get a game that me and you can play together? So I think what we're going to start him off is Marvel Ultimate Alliance on the Switch, since
That's a good
Spider-Man
pick.
is in it. Um, let's start. I'm gonna start him off with that and see how it goes with me and him playing. I'm not looking to beat the game. I'm just looking for him to press buttons and be happy.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
about it.
that's nice. That's
So
definitely good. See
that's
if you could get
me.
him into Pokemon too. Get him into Pokemon early.
I'll
Make that a
try.
tradition.
I'll definitely. I know his uncle is definitely adamant on it, but his uncle definitely wants him to get in it. But let's see where that goes. So, Esoteric, it's your turn.
Okay, so one of my resolutions that I have control over is to dabble in PC gaming. Um, when I was younger, I played a little bit of PC games. Like I played Doom. I played this game called MDK. Another game called Dangerous Dave, etc. But when it comes to like PC games, currently I have like little to no knowledge of it. You guys who do play PC games, y'all told me that Steam is like a great platform to like purchase games and you know have different types of games that are exclusive to PC and not consoles. However, like I've never like tried it out myself, so I really don't know. Um one of the reasons is like computers for me, like as you guys know with technology, they can be very fickle. So I currently only have one PC for streaming purposes, and I'm afraid that if I add anything onto it, that is going to mess up that that particular tower. So what I want to do is invest into a smaller PC solely for gaming that I could just play like PC games on. Um, so hopefully that can definitely happen next year. I know you guys mentioned a couple of games that look really good. There was one, I think it was about survival. I don't remember the name, but you guys
Uh,
spoke about it.
GTFO, I
Yeah,
believe.
GTFO, which looks super interesting.
Yeah, it does.
Um, I would really like to play it. Like I feel like I'm doing myself a huge disservice as a gamer if I don't like kind of at least dabble in the PC realm. Especially considering that one, they have a very strong range of games and also like a very strong range of content, whether it's made by the company themselves or just people, messing around with mods and making your characters look cooler than what the company could have articulated or come up with. Um, so yeah, that's my resolution. And I'm tossing it over to you, Kong.
All right, cool. All right, so my last one is another personal one. I would like to play games with my family, specifically my brothers, my younger brothers, but not so much video games, but more sort of board games and card games, because I think those
Mm.
games have more, uh, definitely have more of like a social aspect to them, where you're actually interacting with one another.
Yeah,
Um, and like the few times that I've convinced them to try like certain games with me, like Monopoly or whatever, or Trouble, or different card games and things like that. Like once we get past that initial like convincing and pulling of teeth, like come on, just try it, and then teaching them, and once we get past all that, it becomes really really fun. And like they ask me to play, like, oh, you want to play a few games today or whatever, and so like I've kind of letting that fall off a little bit, and so I want to kind of recapture that this year, and maybe get some new games in, uh, to just kind of have that like face to face, one on one, or not one on one because I have two brothers, so all of us, that group interaction,
Mhm.
because I feel like that's really important, and it's
yeah,
um like in today's day and age, like we have so many screens in front of us, and like right now we're talking through Discord, which is great, but like the conversation I think would be way more engaging and just better if we were doing it in person at a bar or a restaurant or something like that. Like I feel like
yeah,
that you need to train those muscles again, those social muscles, otherwise you'll lose it, right? And you'll become more detached. And the more detached you become, the harder it is for you to interact with people, and also the more used to being by yourself becomes, like it becomes more like, okay, I'm used to just having screens in front of me, so I've put myself in a position where I prefer it now, so you don't interact with people anymore,
yeah.
um and I don't think that's healthy. So uh yeah, that's something I want to work on, that I've noticed, and it's like, I should really work on that.
I
um
um I definitely agree with you on that. I think that's
Yeah,
a really good one.
same.
Especially with your point saying that we're in the day and age of having a screen in front of us all the time. And in my household, we recently just developed the new rule of, if you're at the dinner table, no
no
cell
phones.
phone, no tablets, none of that. At first, we were okay with it because we just wanted them to be comfortable in their own, space. But now it's just become, yeah, this is not working because you're sitting at the table and you're looking at everybody. Nobody is looking at each other. Nobody's talking to each other. They're more concerned on what's going on their phone than necessarily what's going on,
At the dinner
with each other.
table.
And we're supposed to be a family,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with that. That I think is really good.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe a good strategy would be what Kong um resolution is, where you guys can find a common ground, which would be a board game, or one of the things I try to do when I'm interacting with people is like relatability. Try to find something that that's relatable that I can either speak on or ask questions about, and if they, people are more engaging when you speak on stuff about what they like. Um, so maybe incorporating that might help, you know. Me and the missus, we play board games here. Like we play Jenga, we play Sorry and things like that. Um, and it's kind of really weird because I guess because I do it as a job, sitting in front of a screen. Um, aside from streaming, because I had to really get used to like streaming in front of a TV or whatever. Um, but afterwards, I really don't like being on on devices that much. Like you guys have a whole, we have a whole like thread, and I'm coming in mad late reading shit. So I mean, that only like proves that I don't really like being in front of the screens that much. But um, that's a really cool resolution to have, Kong. I It definitely will work out because you got some cool brothers, and yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that comment. You know, and something just to add this before we end, um, something I've noticed, and it happened a lot during 2020, seeing that I was, you know, not working at the time, and it was kind of like, I don't want to throw the word around depressed because I feel like it's used a little too much, but I definitely wasn't at my best mentally during that point in time for a lot of reasons, and so, you know, your phone, at least I'll speak for myself, my phone became like a source of like reliance. So I would wake up in the morning and the first thing I did was look at my phone and just start, you know, reading stuff or being on social media or whatever. And I would
Yeah.
spend like way more time than I thought I was doing that. So like my first hour, sometimes 2 hours, I would be just bullshitting, you know, watching YouTube videos or on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and just scrolling and just trying to like just I guess downloading information, useless information, not even like reading good stuff. It's just like I'm just reading other people's opinions or reading through a comment thread or on Reddit or whatever, and it's like this is a really bad way to spend my morning. You know, like it just isn't physically healthy and it's certainly not mentally healthy. So I make it a point to at night, once I'm done doing whatever on my phone, I put it in a drawer, I turn it off, I throw it in the drawer away from me, and I go to bed. Right. And sometimes I have trouble sleeping. Um, but I'd rather spend my night, those sleepless hours, thinking about stuff than being on the phone, hurting my eyes, first of all, filling my brain with a bunch of junk, and only prolonging my sleep. Like if I'm in bed with my phone, it's gonna take me longer to fall asleep than if I didn't have my phone. Whether or not I'm having trouble sleeping or not that particular night, like the phone is a factor. It does it does perpetuate like unhealthy behavior, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
that
No,
does make sense.
I completely understand.
so like I try to make it a point to just force
Detach.
myself to detach. Like I just cut the cord. Like, you know, this is like I compare it to like food habits, right? So, you know, I'll be the first to admit I could have some really unhealthy eating habits, especially at nighttime. Like if I'm just on my computer or on my system watching movies or watching a show, you know, I get the munchies. I get like, oh man, it's really nice to have like a few cookies or a bag of chips or something like that. Because I've over my life I've conditioned myself to do that. So now I'm trying to train my body out of that, and it's very hard. So, you know, if you've been doing something for 20 something years, you know, it's hard to kind of train that behavior out of you. It's like trying to
Absolutely.
like you're a lefty or you're right-handed and now you got to do everything with your other hand. It's like, excuse me. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
So for me it's like with that weakness, I know it's a weakness. I've identified the weakness. My strategy now is to eliminate it. So it's like, okay, well, I need to do something in order to not put myself in a position where I can cave in. So I don't buy that stuff in the first place. Like I'm not gonna, if it's 2 a.m., I'm not gonna get up, get dressed, go outside, go to the store, get the snack, get to the counter, pay for the snack, come back home. Like there's so many steps there where I can stop myself. Like, what am I doing? Right? There's enough time there to like tell myself this is a
Reflect.
stupid idea
Yeah.
versus me having the snack in the kitchen where it's just like all I have to do is get up, go to the kitchen, get the snack, come back. Like there's less steps. So if the snacks are never there, right, and I put more obstacles in front of myself to acquire the snack, it's less likely that I'm going to get it, or less likely that I'll cave into that craving. Because by the time I get dressed and I'm at the door, the craving is gone.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I need to set those traps up for my future self, so that I don't put myself in a position where it's like the next morning I feel like crap and it's like, I really shouldn't have eaten those chips right now. Like now I kind of feel like
Fat or
saggy
bloated
and
or
just like bloated or lazy,
Mhm.
more lazy than usual or whatever. It's like, yeah, I feel great, right? All I had was a bottle of water. I just have to pee and I'm good, right? So it's the same thing with technology. It's like in moderation, and it's easy to say that. It's easy to say. Everybody knows that at a base level, but like implementing strategies and behaviors in order to stop that behavior is a whole nother conversation, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think to your point, I think one of the biggest obstacles is where these things kind of meet on the line of necessity and like, you know, for lack of a better word, wastefulness. Because it's like we need cell phones in order to communicate, but all the stuff that cell phones can do, it keeps us super entertained and like enthralled within the device. Before it was just dial number, talk to person, hang up, go about your business. But now they incorporated so much stuff that it not only becomes such a, necessity item, but it also becomes a entertainment device. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's
So
a byproduct of having too many options. I think too many
yeah,
options is never a good thing,
yeah.
Yeah.
in my opinion. I have a smartphone. I have an old smartphone. Like I have an iPhone 6, right? They're up to
Mhm.
iPhone 13, whatever the hell,
13.
right?
Yeah.
I have like not even zero intention. I have negative 100 intentions of ever upgrading my phone. And I've been thinking of downgrading my phone and walking around with a flip phone. I'm not even kidding you. It's like I don't need this.
Mm.
It's useful in its ways. Like having access to a camera is great, right? If something's happening, if I need to quickly take a picture of something, like it's great for that. But like everything else about it is like super unnecessary and like tempting. It's having the snack in the kitchen. It's like it doesn't need to be there. Like just eliminate it. So I've been
You
thinking
mentioned
about doing that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
you mentioned camera. I actually have a story for you. So
Sure.
the only Christmas gift I haven't gotten yet is my oldest. I don't know what to get him because he's not a kid that's very needy.
Mm-hmm.
So so he loves photography, and we decided that okay, well, we're gonna get him a camera to because he wants to expand on his on photography work. So we go into a Best Buy the other day, and we're looking into cameras. They're like $2,000,
Wow.
$1,500, and I'm like, this is crazy. So I asked the guy, young kid, maybe in his early 20s or late teens, and I go, "Do you guys have any cameras that's good for photography?" And he goes, "Do you have an iPhone?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do. You clearly know that because you see the watch on my hand." He's like, "So I think uh you should just use the iPhone, the one with the three cameras. I think it's the
What a
13
great
now."
salesman.
And it's like I asked for a digital camera, and he's like, "But cameras aren't being used anymore because iPhones are so advanced. Everybody uses their iPhone to take pictures now. You don't really need a digital camera anymore." So
Yeah. I
his
mean, he's
whole
not
Well,
sales
that's
terribly
not
wrong.
but that's not the point. Now, if you're speaking from a fiscal perspective, like, well, I would suggest utilizing the iPhone because it has more things, it's advanced, and it's not as expensive as the counterparts. Understandable. But if a customer comes in and says, "This is what I want," you don't, oppose them.
Deter them from it.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Unless you're like, "Oh, well, I don't be a dick about it," is basically what I'm saying. Like, if he wants that, give him that. You can give a suggestion, but if he's still set on, "Oh, I want this," give the person what they want. That is
I
it.
think what his mindset is, because he was younger and he's more exposed to like the technology of phones, his mindset is, why do I need the stone wheel when you can buy the rubber wheel, which obviously is more efficient.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
he
his
does.
logic behind it,
Yeah.
Well,
but
if
he
they're still
doesn't.
selling it, then
Well,
clearly there is a need
it,
for it.
if his age is any indication, he doesn't understand. He potentially doesn't understand the concept of a camera that is just a camera. Like this is
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, everything is a
Mo-
hybrid now.
yeah,
Everything
if you
is
go to
multiple things.
Hmm.
kids and younger generation, they it's all hybrids. It's a camera, it's a phone, it's a camcorder, it's a
GPS,
a GPS, a freaking
game
mobile
console.
assistant, a game console. They don't
Right.
understand that I just want to get my child a camera that its sole function in life is to take photographs. That's just not a thing that a lot of the younger generation even conceptualize.
That's a really good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
So that was the issue, but more to Kong's point of, with the technology the way it is and cell phones being so, I guess, advanced in the sense of where people just look at other pieces of technology or people look at other aspects of life and it's just like, well, yeah, this is too convenient to want to look into anything else. I have at my job, my coworkers ask me all the time. They go, "Oh, you don't watch TV?" No, I don't watch TV. I'm not getting up to make watching TV a game plan in my day. Like I'm not. I don't rely on like television to entertain me. Um, a common person, I guess, would, and more to
it's
Kong's.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's as Kong talks about with the snacks, it's just visual and audio fast food. It's
Hmm.
Yeah,
really easy to just sit in front
it's
of there
junk.
and like, yeah, I don't know what they're saying. They're not saying anything of any relevant, any substance, but they're saying things, and I can turn off half of my brain and kind of just exist in a space for a bit.
Well. Listen. Also, to Kong's point, and don't want to bring in like too much TMI or whatever. But if you're at the point where you're bringing in your phone while taking a shit, and you already done took a shit, and you still on your phone because you're too busy looking at whatever's there, then you have a serious problem. You know, I mean, I've been subjected to it. I can't speak for y'all,
Mm,
but it is a serious thing. Like, you're done with the bathroom, like, get up and go. But you're so enthralled by what's on the phone, you're it's like you're sitting on the couch watching TV. It's like, eh,
mm,
you know. So I'm just
Well,
digressing over here.
yeah. One thing that Wolf said and what he does with his son is I wholeheartedly agree, and I think everybody should do it. And it's not to sound all hoity-toity and fucking like better than higher, better than thou. Is him and his son read like
Oh yes,
yeah, we do.
yes,
that is like
yes.
super important. And I think everybody, I know reading to some people, which boggles my mind, but I get it. Some people find reading boring. And since we're still on the topic of resolutions, that's kind of another resolution that I want to implement is to just read more. Like I read a lot of other stuff, but in order to pass time, I read science fiction is my main thing. And specifically now I'm like into that 40K hardcore. So I have like a decent sized chunk of just different 40K novels that I've bought just so I can have them. Just so they're there, they're in my possession, and I don't have to like worry about them becoming rare or hard to find all of a sudden. And I want to make it like a resolution to just go through that. to just maybe put down the games for a while, maybe not buy as many games or games at all, and just tackle that huge pile of reading material. Because even if you're reading science fiction or you're reading history or you're reading romance novels, as long as the words are stimulating, you're learning so much. Your vocabulary improves so much. And I know I probably sound like a boomer to anybody younger listening to this, but like that just helps you better yourself as a person. So the fact that you and your son read together is
Mm-hmm.
like the best thing. Like that's amazing. Like because that's just going to better him. That's going to strengthen your relationship together, and that's just going to better him as a person. Like his vocabulary is going to go. He's going to learn how to speak to people. Like he knows how to
Yeah.
use words. Like I can't tell you how many people our age and younger speak in some mythical language that they claim is English, and I'm like, now I see what my parents were talking about, my grandparents were talking about, but I think it's just gotten to the point where we're not even using words anymore. We might as well just get to the hieroglyphs because
I mean,
I don't know what's
that's
going on
kind
with
of
the
happening with emojis. Emojis have kind of, and I use emojis to emphasize emotion in a specific statement. Like if it's like, okay, you could read something and mean it to be funny or mean it to be serious, and it could be perceived different. It could be perceived opposite to that.
text is very hard to get emotion across. Somebody could get offended really easily when you didn't mean that, but that's why an emoji kind of softens the blow, or
Or
Yeah,
it
you know,
and
better illustrates the idea or the
yeah.
tone of the text. But some people speak only in emojis, like that is their language.
yeah, like
That
what
is
Text
I
so
works too
annoying.
much.
what
Yeah,
I
that is so
do
annoying.
Yeah, it is.
what I do to kind of get my thought across, and you guys know, like I'm a firm believer of utilizing punctuations. Like if I'm trying to be funny, I put the exclamation points. If I'm trying to emphasize a point, I put like quotation marks. Like I'm really big on punctuations.
Yeah, but you have to understand punctuation to perceive it properly. So if you put exclamation points at the end of a sentence that's supposed to be perceived as funny, somebody who doesn't really understand exclamation points can be used in that fashion might say, "Well, why are you screaming at me?
I'm
Yeah,
Why are you
sorry your
yelling at me?"
dog died! Exclamation point. Smiley face.
yeah. Well, I mean, at that point,
I mean,
there's
I'm just
nothing I
saying.
can
I'm
do.
I'm not trying to like
No, I get what your point. I get what you're saying.
That yeah,
so
that goes back to me that I think everybody, or it's my strong belief. I don't want to like you should do this or you're a bad person, but it's my strong belief that everybody should have at least something they read, whether it's a technical manual, a novel, something, just to like keep yourself grounded to proper language and just how to convey yourself through words, because it's really easy, especially with technology like we were talking about, to just get lost in that like internet lingo jargon, and then I don't know, you just like it. I don't want to say it's condescending to say, oh, you get dumber, but it feels like you just can't communicate with people on the same level if you just spend all your time in that internet world.
Oh, I completely
I feel
understand it.
I feel like reading is important because of building your own vocabulary and being able to use words that's not okay. When you're reading, you learn how to pronounce words better. You know how to you can see a word or you can read text that's not familiar with you,
Oh,
and you're
context
able
clues.
to right. You're able to pick up context clues and so forth. So reading is very important. It doesn't matter whether you're 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. You should take the time to read something at some point.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. That's really essential to life. I can't say that I read often, but I am trying to take strides to reading more. Like one of the things I did for myself, which is not a part of the gaming ilk, a word I learned from Gunna, was I actually purchased a dictionary and I kind of reverted back to like the old school elementary style of learning words. So, like writing them three times each, putting them in alphabetical order, right? Using them in sentences and things like that to kind of, expand my vocabulary, so to speak. Um, so that's one of the practices I've been doing. But as for reading, I need to definitely step up on that.
Yeah, so the fact that you do that with your boy is amazing. I support it wholeheartedly. That's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
All right, cool. Well,
Thank you. Mhm.
yeah, and I ditto those comments. That's awesome. I'm glad you do it. And if I have kids, I already know I'm going to put everything else on the back burner and invest everything into them. Because I already do it with my younger brother. He's in high school now. He's in the 11th grade. I helped him with a report a few days ago, and he's doing like a poem class or whatever, where he has to read a poem and then extrapolate on the poem and talk about a certain idea or whatever. And I read his stuff and I'm like, oh man, I see a lot of errors in your writing that I made at his age, right? And it's like, oh man, this is a good opportunity to like give him that XP boost that I didn't have when I was his age, and
Yep.
and give him the tools that I didn't have access to, and even if I had access to, I was probably too lazy to even utilize, even if it was available to me. If I'm being honest here, I'm not gonna paint myself as like I was the perfect student, because I wasn't, not even close. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I'm able to be there and push him, and like now I find myself reading these poems that I haven't read, and I stumble upon words and I'm like, I don't even know what this word means. And then he would see me look it up, look up the word in an online dictionary, because somebody threw out my physical dictionary, and then look up a thesaurus as well and see how this word can be, or how the meaning of this word can be used with other words, right? Like, okay, well, this word means this. Okay, well, what are some other words that can replace this word in case I want to use this word, right? And he was like, oh, okay, I didn't even know he didn't know what a thesaurus was. And I explained it to him. That's what it's for. It's to give you different words that mean the same thing, or can mean the same thing. And so I have him in the habit of doing that too. And now his writing has improved, because now he's like able to understand and perceive the poems or the short stories that he reads better, because now it's not like him assuming, okay, that word must mean this, and then moving on, instead of researching what this word actually means and what it means in the context of this particular sentence or paragraph or whatever. And I wish I had that training and that guidance when I was younger, because maybe today I'd be a little bit smarter. But it is what it is. This is the hand I'm dealt, so it's the hand I'll play. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome that you do that for your kid. And anybody who's listening to this who has younger, cousins, kids, younger brothers or sisters, take the time to like teach them stuff, and try to pass on your knowledge. Maybe it's limited knowledge, but
It's knowledge
it's
nonetheless.
knowledge nonetheless, and your experiences might seem trivial, but it is very valuable to those who haven't walked down that particular path.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So
I think he likes to read because I read with him. And I think that's what I'm starting to understand in his personality as he's getting older, is that if I'm interested in it and I engage in it with him,
he's motivated to get engaged.
he's
yeah.
motivated to get engaged more. Like
Yeah.
he draws, he colors and stuff like that, which is obviously my given talent. But I think he's more interested in drawing and art because I'll do drawing and art. I'll do art projects with him and so forth like that. So definitely, I thank you guys for that. But I don't do it for the praise. I do it more so because I have an individual that I'm responsible for putting out into the real world and to make a difference in society.
Yeah.
And it starts
Which is
within the
why
home,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I definitely do agree with that. Everybody who has a younger sibling, cousin, kids, it may be tiresome when you get out of work or school or, the or whatever it is that you prefer to do, but it does make a difference in someone when you sit and read with them. It makes a big difference.
100%. So, and by the way, for the record, I don't say it to praise you. I'm not sucking your dick or blowing smoke up your ass, but it's the truth. Like, it's a good thing what you're doing, and a lot of people don't do it.
It's unfortunate
So it
that
needs to be highlighted.
And
yeah,
I
it's
agree.
a rare trait nowadays.
Yeah, the
So
fact
anyway,
that you created a responsibility and handling the responsibility in the right way is a great feat. So, you
Oh,
know,
thank you guys.
You're welcome. So, that makes an episode. Thank you guys for joining us in this New Year's episode. Bit of a few tangents here and there, but you know, if you've been watching any of our episodes and you don't expect tangents, then I don't know what you think you're watching at this point. Put a comment down below if you want to comment on any of our stories and resolutions. Let us know your resolutions, gaming or otherwise. Like the video, it helps us out. Dislike if you didn't enjoy the conversation for whatever reason. Subscribe for more content. We do streams, we do reviews, we do a podcast every week. Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, episode is published. So subscribe to be notified of when those videos go live. We also stream on Twitch. I stream under Blanka Kong. I don't have a set schedule, but that will be changing. Right, it's on the tapes. Right here in this episode, I said that I'd have a set schedule at some point this year. So I plan to get working on that. But as of right now, this very minute, I don't have a schedule in place. But check me out there. Logical or Esoteric also streams on Logical Gamers TV on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He plays all sorts of games, mostly action adventure games on the PS5 amongst other systems. So if you're into that, check him out. And yeah, with that being said, Esoteric, do you want to tell the people where they can find us on the socials?
Sure, guys. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Logical Gamers TV. Just look for the light bulb icon, and the link will be provided in the description below.
Awesome. Guys, have a good new year. Happy New Year. If you're listening to this in 2025 or 2030 or 2050, Happy New Year to you anyway. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Take care.
Laters.